Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Living Well podcast. My name is Dr. Edward Perrin. I'm a psychologist in the great state of Ohio. With me is my producer, Pablo Madrigal. And today we're going to be talking about, this is part 3 of our Psychology of Movie series. Today we're going to be talking about A Beautiful Mind. So stick around and we're going to learn some pretty rad stuff about schizophrenia, which is in the news right now for fun, totally not political reasons whatsoever.
That's right. Thanks. Thank you for the intro, Dr. Perrin. I'm doing very well. Thanks so much. Thanks for guiding us in. Do you want to give a little legal disclaimer here before we get on with the show?
Yes, thank you for reminding me. Legal disclaimer, A Beautiful Mind is not ours. We do not own it. We will be discussing it, and we may be sharing clips from that on the show. That is for educational purposes only, for discussing conditions, mental health conditions, and maybe a little bit of movie reviews. So please support the movie, buy it. I think it won 4 Academy Awards. You won't regret it. So, yeah, I have to do this very deadpan. The feedback I'm getting is do not make it frame like a joke. Like, we do not own it. We do not own it. It is not ours. It is for educational purposes only.
That's right. Thank you. Perfect. We got that in. We're good to go.
Yes. So I guess Pablo and I had a brief chat before before starting. I think he took umbrage with me using the word polygenic risk factor with high variability, which I'm supposed to dumb down. This isn't really the reason for it, but I do think that it is important to do maybe a brief overview that schizophrenia is an organic brain illness. And I know there's a lot of debate about like, what is a mental illness? Is depression illness? Like, why are we calling it a mental illness if it's a natural response to like paying taxes and an oppressive government or whatever it might be? All valid discussions, but in the case of schizophrenia, like, it is a very real, very established, like, there are structural, biological bases and cognitive bases of schizophrenia. Enlarged ventricles, GABA production. Yeah, I'm told I can't use words like mesolimbic pathway and dopaminergic. Hey, see.
Oh no, you're allowed to use them. You just have to explain it.
Well,
what are you talking about?
What's been really prevalent in the news lately is RFK may have jumped the gun and used the word cure to say that the keto diet has, there are some early trials that are demonstrating that the keto diet is showing some improvement in very specific symptoms of schizophrenia. And he used the word cure. The keto diet cures schizophrenia. And a lot of people have been up in arms about that, kind of misunderstanding the difference between a cure and a treatment. And I think it's really important to talk about this, specifically sort of there's a neuroinflammation element to schizophrenia, sort of a stress neuroinflammation that amplifies symptoms, where, under times of extreme stress, people are more likely to go into a psychotic episode or have more severe symptoms of schizophrenia. And this is covered in the movie. Like, when he is more stressed, he is more likely to go through what is commonly referred to as a psychotic break. And a lot of that has to come with a neuroinflammation of the existing structural pathways of the brain. So even though they may be able to function relatively within the normal range of human experience, there are very specific biological parts. I feel like I'm just repeating myself at this point. The interesting stuff is how it's experienced individually, and maybe I'll go into some details about the difference between an illusion, a delusion, and a hallucination as it becomes relevant. But
I actually think that we should definitely touch up on this. As we were watching the movie this over the weekend, this is something that it came up to us when we were watching it. It was like, what even I guess the main part was what is actually happening, what is actually real. For example, case in point. And are we diving into the movie, or are you still have some?
If you have something, let's go. Let's get into it. What are you gonna ask?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest right out of the bat, the biggest question that we had was right here. Also, just a moment. So I'm gonna go ahead and so spoilers, of course, right? So if you haven't watched the movie is fabulous, by the way. This movie is incredible.
Oh yes.
If you haven't watched the movie,
pause it, because if you haven't watched it, pause it, because it's a beautiful. Oh yeah. Oh, you're right. It does. The spoilers are going to be really big. Sorry for interrupting you, but it didn't occur to me how big these spoilers are until just this moment.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay. So, real quick, I think before we dive into specifically into specific parts of the movie, let's talk about just give an overview more or less on what the movie is about. The Beautiful Mind follows the life of John Nash, who's a real person, mathematician. In fact, my wife's parents, who went to Princeton, have memories of seeing Professor Nash walking around campus doing his thing. So a real person that.
So we talked about that a week or so ago. Did you actually reach out to them? Did they tell you stories? Did they say what it was like?
I didn't. I'm sorry, but
we'll cut this out not to get our audience excited.
That's all right.
Cool. I'm gonna bring it up next time I talk to them.
Oh yeah, I think it's super cool.
Are great people.
So it follows John Nash. From, I believe we pick up from him when he's doing his grad school at what was it? Was it Harvard or Princeton? It's Princeton.
I believe it was Princeton, and he was there on a scholarship. He was one of two people on a publication scholarship.
Right. And then he goes on to have some kind of government related work, which kind of like devolves into just something totally.
We're meant to question. We're meant to believe everything until we're not. And the moment and this is terrific writing, terrific directing, because if you're watching it for the first time and you are unfamiliar with the real man, you aren't going to know until the wall is broken, and then you as the audience member are similarly experiencing that confusion, that the reality testing that he and his family end up going through.
Right.
But in the real story, the real John Nash, it was not a surprise. It was a lifelong condition that he struggled with from a very early age, and the chaos was was identified before like an oops,
right?
As it was.
So I think first, before we go into the kind of like the hallucinations, the delusions, that's what I want to know is the difference between those. But I think first I want to show just a small clip on kind of what stood out to me is that right out of the bat, the very antisocial behavior, right? And not able to read just common social cues, that kind of stuff. So I think this scene right here, I mean, we're like 4 minutes into the movie. This one it's a good show of that.
There he is. So many supplicants and so little time. Mr. Saul?
Sorry, sir.
Ah, Bender.
Congratulations, Mr. Hanson.
Ah, thank you. Yeah, I'll take another.
What's up with this?
Excuse me? 1,000 pardons. I simply assumed you were the waiter.
Play nice, Hanson. Nice is not Hanson's strong suit.
An honest mistake. Well, Martin Hanson. It is Martin, isn't it? Well, yes, John, it is. I imagine you're getting quite used to miscalculation. I've read your preprints. Both of them. One on Nazi ciphers and the other one on nonlinear equations. And I am supremely confident that there is not a single seminal or innovative idea in either one of them.
So he's trying to be funny, right? I think he means that but also not really. Like and like these guys are all confused. Are like, wait,
mysterious West Virginia genius, the other winner of the distinguished Carnegie Scholarship.
I think a lot of that is Hollywood charm, because even though he was objectively kind of a dick in that moment, he had a good smile. He was kind of handsome, and he kind of like dunked on them, like, "Oh, I'm smarter than you." Like it's setting up that he is objectively intelligent. But what, at least from a psychodynamic lens, people with schizophrenia have difficulty with sort of mentalizing internalized self states. And what that really means is really understanding what is going on in themselves and other people. So how that usually shows up, very similar, kind of like tics, awkward social skills. He looked a little bit more autistic than schizophrenic in that moment, but it's very hard for them to really identify what the other person is thinking. So if they are thinking that the other person is believing something about them, or harbors insecurities or whatever it might be, he's going to talk to them as if it's true. And sometimes that can, like, people go like, where's this coming from? Or they'll feel like they're talking about somebody else entirely. It's, again, and I really want to talk about that stress neuroinflammation response. It's not like they're at like this at all times. Depending on their treatment or the stress responses, they can navigate the world, and it'll be very difficult for your average person to tell the difference between them and anybody else. So this is really, they're trying to establish him more as awkward and weird than maybe like an accurate portrayal of schizophrenia.
Mm.
Okay. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So what about okay? So the other thing that I wanted to do is to maybe go here side by side and talk about John Nash in the movie, the character portrayed, and John Nash, the real person.
Yeah.
I think you have a little bit more insight on that person and knowledge on the actual person. Do you want to add anything to the dossier at the moment?
Well, I want to make it clear that they don't reveal to the audience that he has it yet. And it makes it seem as if he navigated his entire graduate school experience and first job without a psychotic break. But like this was obvious to people. Like the faculty were aware of it. He was hospitalized.
That is when he was a student.
He would threaten other students. Like it was chaotic. He had sort of bizarre, atypical behavior, not just like quirky fun. Look at him, he's a little competitive and dunks on everybody. Most of the time he was able to function well. Occasionally he would have very, very serious symptoms, and this is a consistent pattern throughout his adult life. There are the real John Nash really went through different stages of treatment. And the movie, when they finally reveal that he does have schizophrenia, they do a very decent job describing the trajectory and the pacing of the treatment. It's just not a one-to-one accurate portrayal of this is when it happened in real life. I think one of the biggest examples of this, and I really love how the director did it. It was kind of at the peak of the marital tension, and he told his wife, like, I don't want to put you through this. Here's your opportunity to leave. And you hear like doors closing, and then the big surprise is that she comes back and she sticks with him, and like she supports him, and like her love and her commitment to his social life and inclusion and in interpersonal interaction, like, is what led to him having a meaningful and fulfilled life with schizophrenia. In real life, she did divorce him, and I think they were divorced for a few years.
Twice, no, I think they got married and divorced.
Yeah,
married twice.
Well, he had many affairs, and again, this is not in the movie because that takes away from the charm and Hollywood magic of the character. But like when he would have his when he would have episodes of very serious psychosis, he would engage in bizarre and atypical behavior that put a lot of stress on his social relationships and his and his wife and family, especially. The polygenic risk factor of high heritability was about his children. It's actually schizophrenia is very heritable. There are many genes that are associated with it that we've identified, and we're still learning more about it. But parent to children, I do believe that one or more of his children has schizophrenia, but it's been a while since I looked this up, so I'm a little suspicious of. I don't want to say that with enough conviction. So like this is, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, they don't bring that into the movie because it takes away from the real beautiful part of it, like how people supported him, how people really went out of their way to make sure that he had an office and that he could connect with other people and that he was in a community and that he could work. That is very real. And it is that what we call psychosocial rehabilitation. His psychosocial rehabilitation is what had him live a meaningful and fulfilling life unmedicated with schizophrenia. It is remarkable.
So there are many kind of darker aspects of his real condition that were not portrayed in the film, right?
Well, the condition, I think it was Hollywooded out, but the important aspects of schizophrenia, I think, were portrayed. I think it was the relational dysfunction, like the impact on his friendships, the impact on his social life. So like I think at the end when he has the Nobel guy come by and like talk to him, and he makes a comment like, "Oh, you want to make sure that I'm not gonna go crazy and blah 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 blah," and then they show him giving a big speech. He was not invited to by the Nobel. In fact, it's actually a pretty big point of contention. Like shame on Nobel. Like they did not let him speak.
Really?
Yes, because they were afraid that he was going to have bizarre and atypical behavior, and it was a shame. Now he did give other talks. They could have Hollywooded it and just been, oh no, technically this is him giving another speech and accepting another award, but it was not the Nobel Prize. That was he did get it, but he was not invited to.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
It's I think it's a shame. Well, in a lot of we have a much better understanding of schizophrenia now. I think at the time there was a lot more stigma, and I think there were a lot of innovative treatments, especially in this, what I'm calling psychosocial rehabilitation. Artie Lang in England, great, terrific psychiatrist. So what he did is he bought a large, like kind of like a hotel, residential, like apartment complex. And it was kind of an open come and go schizophrenia treatment center where people with schizophrenia would come when they need to and leave when they can't. And they'll come in when they're floridly psychotic or just having some of that bizarre atypical behavior, or they maybe they got fired, maybe they can't afford rent. They'll go there, they get in a room, they can cook meals, they had to come in and do like joint group activities. And that was the treatment. And it was revolutionary at the time. Like the treatment is that we all live together as a community and treat each other like human beings. What a novel concept. That was eventually what it worked with. That was the parallel that he did at Princeton when he was invited there to keep talking and connecting with other students.
Mm-hmm.
That psychosocial rehabilitation does wonders. It's you get to feel included. A lot of those symptoms of isolation, like just being alone in a dark room, not getting sunlight, not having social interaction. People gain weight. People get very depressed. Their posture sinks. It's all of these kind of secondary and tertiary symptoms associated with sort of their isolation and separation from society that are really mediate the frequency and intensity of symptoms.
Yeah. Do you think it has to do something with also? Well, because a lot of the condition comes with hallucinations or delusions, right? I still need you to clarify that for me.
The biggest thing is perceptual difficulties. So you've probably seen a movie where people are in the Sahara Desert and they see an oasis or like this beautiful like body of water and they run to it and they dive into it and it was just like light reflecting off the sand and they have sand in their face and they're going, oh no. I've seen it in commercials since I've seen it in cartoons since like Looney Tunes. You do know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's an illusion. It is a perceptual effect. I love illusions. When I was a kid, I used to read these like magic eye books where you'd open them and you could like move them on the page or cross your eyes and these three-dimensional pictures will jump out, or like impossible shapes. MC Escher, one of my favorite painters and artists, he draws these impossible three-dimensional figures that create an illusion of depth that can't exist. These are normal. The brain is a very powerful machine, and if it doesn't quite understand what it sees, it's going to sort of fill in the blanks with its own imagination. And we know dozens of ways to test it and try it. It's really cool. A hallucination is when you are perceiving something that is not there. Like when his hallucinations were people. He would in the movie he would hallucinate entire, like I think it was the government officer, a roommate's niece, etc., etc. And he would even joke like, when I have to check in with people when I meet someone new, right? He's testing whether or not he is hallucinating something that is not like a trick of perception.
So can we watch a quick clip, and then I need you to explain here what is happening. Okay.
Oppenheimer used to say genius is the answer before the question.
You knew Oppenheimer?
This project was under my supervision.
Which project?
Spoilers, we know that he's not real.
That project.
Okay,
It's not
so
that simple, you know.
Well, you ended the war.
We incinerated 150,000 people in a heartbeat.
Well, great deeds come at great cost, Mr. Parcher.
Our conviction, it turns out, is a luxury of those on the sidelines, Mr. Nash.
all right, I want to. So
Why is that?
this bit
I
right
like to
here.
think it's because I'm a lone wolf.
Advantage.
All right, so this bit right here, okay? He's going into this warehouse. He goes through a checkpoint where there's a military guy. So is this happening? Is this building real? Is it empty? Is he just completely hallucinated the entire thing? What is real? What is not? You know what I mean?
Yes. So my understanding is that he is going to an actual dilapidated building. Like, it's a real building, but it's empty and like rusted walls and empty chairs, and nobody's inside it. But again, that's the Hollywood aspect. He's hallucinating that the walls are clean, the floors are bare, that there are people going around. He's having auditory hallucinations of the conversation.
Disclosure of secure information can result in imprisonment.
But if you wouldn't mind pausing it for a second, what makes it a delusion is the belief that it's real. And and you can have an illusion and know it's not real and go, oh man, I'm looking at the sun and it's giving that really cool blurry effect like there's water, but I know that that's an optical illusion, and that's what a lot of people think are oases when they're thirsty. You don't have a delusion. If you go, oh my gosh, an oasis, we're saved, that's bordering on a delusion.
So you can both hallucinate and be delusional at the same time. They're not mutually exclusive.
They are not mutually exclusive. The important part is that you can hallucinate and know it's not a delusion, and that is highlighted by him, by his choice to go unmedicated. And he first argues with them, and then eventually he chooses to ignore them. And how the director and how the story really covers it is like towards the end of his life, they're just walking with him quietly, like they've just given up having conversations with him. And that comes from going, I'm aware that you're not real. You may be a hallucination, but this is not a delusion. And therefore it depicts him living with schizophrenia. And that is a very important, when we talk about meaning, like when we talk about just living a purposeful life, that's that's what's beautiful. Like there there are a lot of really terrible symptoms that come with a lot of traditional psychotics. He was probably going to have some, or antipsychotics. He was probably on some of the first generation antipsychotics, presumably Thorazine. Right now, one of the most popular treatments is Seroquel, which, if you were to hear people describe it, they say it's like navigating the world as if you're underwater. It's like a very unromantic version of SpongeBob SquarePants, where you're just going through the world, but just everything's just a little bit slower. Everything's just a little bit not there, and they don't enjoy that. Like that a lot of them say that it's very unpleasant. And when I would work with people who were very early on a treatment regimen, they would sometimes put them into groups that I was running, and they would just fall asleep in the group. And I can't fault them. That's not their fault. They're on a medication that is altering their brain chemistry, and they just knock out. And it's a shame. And a lot of them say, I don't like this, or I don't want to be on this. And he gives a version of that. And again,
yeah, he does. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, which makes him kind of relapse, right? So he is out of the. So this one right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that I would go that way, John.
He's also very stressed. He's very stressed. He's not working. He's isolated from his friendships.
So at this point, they show us that he has been hiding instead of taking his medication, which made him impotent, and kind of just like he couldn't be present. He was all blurry and hazy. He couldn't help with the kid or anything like that. So he stopped taking the medication, and then eventually this guy comes back and then he's like looking at this.
Yep. Yeah, like World War II. Korean War fatigue.
Yeah, but then she she goes in and she's like, I'm running the bath. But then she walks into this. She sees the house, and she's like, "What's going on?" And he had just seen this as a pristine room with like radio and stuff. And people and
a lot of this is Hollywood.
Command center, and then
you cannot hide this. Like, he's not going to be like, "Oh my god, I had no idea." In real life, like it's not sudden.
Right.
It's gradual. And very often it waxes and it wanes, and you're going to see them start staying up at night or skipping meals, because a lot of it is going to be dysregulation, regular meal and sleep cadence, creating the stress, that neuroinflammation response.
Yeah. The baby's fine, by the way.
Yeah. No babies.
No babies were harmed.
But the difficulty here is, like, the story is they're figuring this out, but in real life, like, this is an ongoing. He gets better, he gets worse, he gets on his medication, he gets off his medication, and I really want to rope back in that RFK Jr. keto diet curing schizophrenia conversation, because part of what I'm highlighting here is that one of the main symptoms is a severe dysregulation, not just of thought, but in routine. When they start skipping meals, when they start sleeping at atypical hours, their other symptoms start going up as well. And they are not likely to keep to the things that help them, like eating breakfast at the same time every day, going to bed at the same time every day, like these routines that are very important. And keto is a very difficult diet. Keto is very hard. If you eat one piece of bread, you are out of ketoacidosis. Like, people who don't have schizophrenia struggle to get on it. I had a friend who I think he became diabetic in his mid 40s. And it scared the hell out of him. And I helped him get onto the keto diet to sort of reverse his diabetes. And he did, within 6 to 8 months, completely reversed his diabetes. His physician was shocked. And I asked him about, like, what are you going to change about your diet? And this guy went, nothing. Like, I am keto forever. Like, I will never come off this. I don't ever want to risk going back into diabetes, which is a much slower progression than if somebody who has schizophrenia and is using a keto diet as treatment. If he eats one piece of bread, he's off of keto, and suddenly the neuroprotective, that neuroinflammation, that neuroinflammatory barrier is gone. Like, you will start maybe having some early symptoms that make it more difficult to get back onto keto. And that swing is hard enough with medication. So I think it's important to be able to talk about these things as treatment. I think it is wonderful that we're seeing a lot of really cool new stuff come out of the metabolic pathways in brain dysfunction. But I think we want to talk about both the promise and the limitations of these treatments, because again, a lot of people with schizophrenia do not like the medication treatment. They do not want to be on it, but not being medicated can have very disruptive, serious side effects that sometimes lead people into an emergency room. When you are going into an emergency room, it's probably harder to get them on a keto diet. You're probably going to want to get a medication treatment shortly. But again, I don't want to poo-poo it, because even regular meal cadences, clean up your diet, even like an 80%, just clean food, right? Most of your diet being somewhat clean, but you eat it at the same time every day, and you go to bed at the same time, and you socialize and you get sunlight, you are going to significantly reduce the intensity and frequency of some of these very serious symptoms. But we're very clear that it's not cure.
Right.
Not like my friend reversed diabetes.
Yeah, it's a way to control it. It's a way to keep it at bay, I suppose.
It's a treatment management.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's it's just like him in the movie, right? He gets it under control, and he still sees the hallucinations, but now he's aware and he knows that they are hallucinations, and he chooses. And it looks like it's a very constant effort, daily effort to not acknowledge them.
So that's my wheelhouse, because that's often when I start working with people with schizophrenia. What we do is we teach them reality testing, and that's what he does. Like, the best example of reality testing in the movie is when that Nobel guy came and he leaned over and he
was like,
in with one of his students.
You're seeing this guy is real, right?
That was a way of reality testing. Now, I've heard some command it's very common to get command hallucinations. We don't hear a lot of people who think that they're Napoleon anymore, but there used to be a popular thing where the people thought that, like, maybe they were Napoleon. But one of the most common ones that we get is like an angel or God, like they're testing me, and they will do things horrible, like push on your nose until I tell you to stop, right? And then they won't tell you to stop because they're testing your faith until you break your nose. And they have to say, is that something that God would do? Does that sound like something the God that you believe in would do? And they would quote scripture, and they would have to actually go like, is that something that's aligned with, or like, and I say this like it's easy. It is not easy. This can be over a period of 8 months where you're just planting the seed that maybe, just maybe, there's something other than God telling you to push on your nose.
It's not like the patient can just walk in to your to a session with you and you go, that's not real, right? You need to.
Believe me.
Yeah.
The thing, he didn't believe his doctor.
Let's watch the little clip of him doing reality testing. It's funny.
Terrified, mortified, petrified, stupefied by you.
Stupefied by you. What a great line.
You're gonna get me in an awful lot of trouble.
Thanks, Professor.
Goodbye.
Have a nice day.
Goodbye. Papers in hand, Mr. Byron.
Professor Nash.
Can you see him?
Yeah.
You sure? I'm positive. He's within your vision. Good. Forgive me, I'm just always suspicious of new people.
See you next week.
I'll see you next week. So now that I know that you're real, who are you and what can I do for you?
Yep, that is a perfect example of reality testing, and it's very important. Sometimes when you're interacting with somebody in an inpatient facility or in an emergency room and you're assessing, like, is this a psychotic episode or are they just drunk? A lot of times you have to look into this and you have to consider other things like an atypical psychosis, substance use, even depression. There are some of the most serious forms of depression. Like you will start developing some psychotic features, hallucinations, delusions, all issues of pattern recognition like he has. And these are all different from this very specific organic brain illness called schizophrenia. So if somebody does have schizophrenia and it is sort of a lifelong pervasive illness, they can get better at it over time. But when they are kind of, as they are approaching a psychotic break, it gets more difficult. Like I worked with this one gentleman who was on a shot regimen, and I think the shot was every 3 to 5 weeks. I can't remember exactly. Maybe it was a month.
What was the shot?
For probably a third generation antipsychotic. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. But the first week after the shot, you could not tell the difference between him or you and me. The week leading up to his shot, he got a little squirrely, and it was really like an up and a down. And it was devastating and it was hard. But after watching that cycle over and over and over again, you get kind of an idea of what symptoms are impacted and to what degree based off of that very specific condition. He chooses to do it unmedicated. That is very uncommon. In fact, it is not always advised. But more than anything, I'm a champion of informed consent. If you are aware that you are risking very serious disruption of self and relationships, I believe in your American right to do so. That is a decision between you and your healthcare provider, so long as you are not injuring other people. And he asked for that, and it was a big ask. Many of them do work with psychologists to find these behavioral alternatives to medication, reality testing, the new promising stuff like the keto diet. I have not prescribed the keto diet to anyone with schizophrenia, but I do highly recommend cleaning up your diet and keeping the regular meal cadences. When this happens, I always advise keep your physician, your general practitioner, your psychiatrist in the loop. Let them be a part of the treatment team. And if they do have a medication that they have found or discovered works really well with you, even if you don't like the symptoms of it, keep an emergency bottle in your medicine cabinet for those oh shit moments. So like for him, his wife is and spouses of people with schizophrenia are going to be the vanguard of that, of the trajectory of those symptoms. So like she's going to be the first one to go, you're not sleeping, you're not bathing, you're getting a little squirrely. The thing you just said was a little disorganized. We need to move out of the green into the yellow. We need to move into the yellow into the orange. Let's move into the orange into the, we're now hitting that oh shit bottle, and I need you to take this pill now. And to work that out and to build that trust into a relationship, because very easy it's to say, hey, I think you're getting a little disorganized. I think we need to start moving into like plan yellow. They can go, no, I'm fine. I feel great. No, I feel incredible. Oh, I'm getting so much work done. And it's like, no, like imperative. Like we talked about this. We need to execute the plan. If you have a spouse or if you have a family member or just trusted caretaker who is willing to do that for you, you are lucky. You have and he is lucky. Not every spouse sticks around after some of the behavior that the real John Nash did.
Yeah. Well, there's here, there's this little bit here that I thought was interesting.
Who are you talking to?
Garbage man.
Garbage men don't come at night.
Good wife. Good wife. She's doing exactly what she should be.
There's the garbage man.
I'm glad they're laughing because they don't always laugh. Hey, maybe you're hallucinating. We think you might be a little psychotic right now. I'm fine.
Yeah. So in your opinion, what do you think the movie gets right? What is there any parts that the movie doesn't quite portray accurately, or maybe embellishes for just the sake of Hollywood and movie? What do you think gets right? What do you think the movie gets wrong?
I'm just gonna really gas up the psychosocial rehabilitation. My postdoc was in psychosocial rehabilitation. It was a year dedicated to severe mental illness, bipolar disorder, severe PTSD, schizophrenia, and I worked in two clinics, one for severe mental illness and one for addictions. And both of them, the treatment was psychosocial rehabilitation. It's a fun $20 word for get them in the community. Get them in the community, get them eating right, get them outside, getting sunlight, get them interacting with each other, get them interacting with people who don't have severe mental illness, get them into events, get them connected with culture, get them get them on the water, like go fishing, like do natural, normal human things so that they can do what John Nash did, live a meaningful, fulfilling life with schizophrenia. And oh gosh, I worked with Native American communities who really integrated our treatment, like because fun fact of more than any a demographic in the United States, our Native Americans volunteer for our armed forces, like percentage-wise. More of them volunteer than any other demographic. They are patriots, they are heroes, and they are American. And they suffer deeply, both from the full wide condition, the same experience of mental illness as everybody else, but also their own unique cultural traumas that we don't have to go into detail here. And a lot of these communities were very welcoming of the VA bringing not just our Native veterans, but their peers who are in our program into their Native American communities. We would do sweat lodges. We would go to events with, we would have like real powwows of across many different tribes in the region. And it was wonderful. And the whole thing was, you are welcome. We know you are not okay. You are welcome. And that created such a great boon. A lot of these people were able to go shopping. A lot of these people were able to live. And that programming got them out of their shell, got them out of their shells and got to do real quality psychotherapy. They got to learn reality testing. They got to improve kind of their lifestyle. And this movie is one of my inspirations for pursuing that, to see the impact it can have on these organic or severe mental illnesses. And it's beautiful, and it worked for him. Now, it wasn't pretty, but like what worked for him was that he did get the love and support of his community. They gave him an office in the library, and they let him doodle on the glass, and they let him interact with the students who would come in to ask him questions about his research and about his theories. And that inclusion is what I think is beautiful. It's a community. It's community care. I can get long-winded because I get passionate about it. I dedicated a year of my life to really getting in there hands-on. I wish it were more available. Because I did it through the VA, it was very well funded. It was funded like exceptionally well by you, myself, American taxpayers. A lot of private or civilian hospitals don't really have community treatment programs. They don't have psychosocial rehabilitation. They focus a lot on corrective healthcare, which is typically these antipsychotics medication regimens, and very often they're not being connected with a nutritionist or a physical therapist. It's very unfortunate.
Let's watch this clip that exemplifies what you're talking about.
Yeah,
it's great.
That everything is connected, that it's all part of the same subject.
When was the last time you ate?
Excuse me?
You know, food.
Oh,
My wife. She loves mayonnaise.
oh. Thank you. Thank you.
Go on.
The functor is into two categories.
When was the last time you ate? That is such a loving question. When you catch like it, when you have a deeper knowing of someone, you're like, you're one of me. You're a nerd. I know you. When was the last time you ate?
So you have the tire of bicycle B, and the fly, who can travel at 20 miles an hour, leaves a tire of bicycle B and it flies to the tire of bicycle A, and backwards and forwards and so on and so forth until the two bikes collide.
I get kind of emotional like this.
Right? Yeah.
I know I've worked with people who've gone through this, and it's very hard.
The area that you're dealing with, mathematics is very specific, and it is an art form, no matter what these people around here will tell you, especially the people from biology. You don't listen to any of those people. Let me go back to what you were doing before, because I think
Rare.
you might want to steal this and let it get famous.
Right. Yeah. Is there something that, is there like an aspect of the movie that you think that was not the best, or that could have done differently?
I don't know. I kind of respect a lot of the director's liberties. I do think it made a great story, and I think the message is almost more important than the accuracy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
I do think it really highlights the pattern recognition element of it. There is a really cool perceptual element. Like we can notice things, like if you rotate them three-dimensionally, and like our brain, when it doesn't quite understand like an optical illusion, it'll fill in the blanks with its own imagination. And sometimes the schizophrenic brain doesn't. Like, it gets all of that normal sensory data. Like, they actually perceive some things more accurately than you or I, because our brains are so powerful that it makes things more logical to itself. And so some of the things that might draw their attention as they're having a perceptual experience that I think is fascinating. And they don't quite go into that very much, but like we have a lot of really cool neuroimaging studies, and we have a lot of research where we are trying to create, trying to think. Like, there was this really cool art exhibit where it was like a bunch of like lines, but like if you moved at the right angle, they all would line up and you can see like a picture. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
But like people with schizophrenia, they see the lines. They even when it's lined up and making a picture, they are very aware of like the directions and how it was done, and they're going to say, but it doesn't make a picture. They're lines, and they're a bunch of separate pieces all together.
Okay, I see.
And everyone will go like, no, what are you talking about? It's a smiley face. See, if you stand right here, it creates the smiley face. They're actually perceiving things more accurately than we are. And I don't think they get a lot of credit for that, because very often they are unable to articulate it, or they're going to have, it's also kind of that awkwardness that he kind of showed in the beginning, where he's just a little, people are just like disconnected from him. Or I really liked the scene when his wife started investigating and went to his coworkers, and the coworkers were like, yeah, come into this room. And it was clear that he was dysregulated and he was connecting some sort of bizarre patterns.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't you tell me? He's like, hey,
We didn't think it was a big deal.
he's always been a little weird.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like that element, I think most people don't actually want to go, oh, that's cool. What might they be seeing until we study it.
Mm-hmm.
I get kind of nerded out when we get into the neuroimaging studies, and like, it's my mad scientist brain. I don't want to dehumanize or take away from how serious or debilitating these conditions can be for people, but the actual science underneath it, the actual like firings and perceptions of the physical brain, it's so cool. It is so cool. And I like, if you start on Wikipedia, get into a rabbit hole of like neuroinflammation, mesolimbic pathways, the neurotransmitter GABA. It's so cool. We only have 8 minutes, so I have to like rein this in here.
I was gonna. Oh my goodness! I was just gonna ask you something. Oh my god. Sorry. Oh yeah. So is schizophrenia something that can also be explained in kind of like a spectrum, like say autism, or is it just either you have it or you don't? Are there degrees? Are there levels of severity?
There are some models that do look at a spectrum, and they do include bipolar disorder, and I've seen a model that even include ADHD on this spectrum, like where that at the end is what we understand as schizophrenia. I don't think it's our best model, but I do understand this idea of it. Schizophrenia is a very specific condition. It has positive symptoms, it has negative symptoms. Like it's a very clear thing. And when we get into the psychosis spectrum, I think there's a lot more wiggle room. So like I've done some near miraculous treatment with atypical psychoses. So a person who was improperly diagnosed as a catatonic schizophrenic was essentially kind of like a lawn ornament. Like he just didn't move, but he did not have your typical symptoms of a catatonic schizophrenic. He was a POW in the Vietnam War, and he was in our community living center. He was an old man, and he had some cognitive decline, and he always looked out the window. And what I did is I went to the Salvation Army, and we got a whole bunch of fatigues, U.S. Army fatigues, and we walked up the front. It was this beautiful like colonial like 4 or 5 story hospital. And we walked up the front. There were about 4 or 5 of us in these uniforms, and he stood up and he ran out the door because he thought we were there to liberate him, and that's what snapped him out. And once he was out, we were able to like feed him. We were able to like bathe him. We were able to interact with him.
Wow.
This is an atypical psychosis. It is not schizophrenia. And again, depression, probably one of the most dangerous psychoses, is major depressive disorder with psychotic features. These can be people really in the pits of their despair, the deepest depression, and they will start hallucinating, or they will start using very complicated logic to believe very illogical things, up to and including command hallucinations. And it is imperative that they are hospitalized quickly because they can hurt themselves and they can hurt other people. But that is a condition that can be reversed, unlike schizophrenia. Very often people who have a major depressive disorder with psychotic features don't have subsequent psychotic breaks in all of their,
because schizophrenia has the physical element, right, of the brain.
It is an organic brain illness.
Yeah.
And I cannot emphasize that enough, because there
exactly.
are
I think that's a very important
way of living. It's not. It is a very heritable genetic condition.
Got it. Okay. I think that's definitely something very important to remark, is that it's a physical illness, right? It's
Well, because they're people, like we treat the people, like we treat the person, and the person, they're humans, and to me, I think that's what this really exemplified, like with the psychosocial rehabilitation. And like I have been in hospitals, I have been in inpatient centers where they are not treated like humans. Like I have lost my shit on people who just treated them like move them here, like just treat them as lawn ornaments, or they speak to them like they are subhuman, like you can just pick them up and move them into another room. They are experiencing all of this. And and so like there was this one, I think that one of the most devastating cases I saw was of somebody who hallucinated a sexual assault. And we can confirm that it didn't happen. Like we had the evidence to firmly like confirm that it didn't happen. And they every time they came back to the hospital, they would start having a PTSD response, and people were trying to tell them like that it's not real, and that they should like calm down and not have a PTSD response because it wasn't real. And I had to shake them. And I said, if you truly believed in your heart that you were sexually assaulted, you will have real PTSD symptoms when you come back to the hospital in which you believe it happened. Oh, sorry, I can get animated. Like I have
yeah, no, it's very
people
interesting.
just not treated like people.
Interesting. Okay. Wow. I mean, I think this is a topic that can just be explored in many ways. There's definitely very many pieces of media that portray this topic in many ways. You know, I'm sure we can continue exploring it.
This one I think does a great job at specifically schizophrenia, because they are talking about a specific person who had schizophrenia. But yeah,
right.
most movies, most media, especially ones that don't really consult with a psychologist or a psychiatrist, they will just maybe do a broad or general spectrum psychosis. It's just they're usually characters, or maybe they see something that's real, and that's the narrative event, that's the MacGuffin that leads to the
right
story conclusion.
the MacGuffin.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it for us. Everyone who is still sticking around, we are considering moving forward with a psychology of gaming series. We have not really agreed on a lineup yet. I think the games that we've thrown out were like Red Dead Redemption 2, Skyrim, Last of Us,
God of War.
Yeah. I'm playing
reboot.
I'm playing Helldivers right now. I don't really think that that's so much of the story as like the community, like why people play multiplayer community games that have these like shared event structures. Like there's such a parasocial element to this that I think is probably worth discussing. And you're a famous single player gamer, so we could have a fun discussion. If that seems interesting to you guys, let us know what you want us to talk about. Or if you really liked our Psychology of Movie series, give us more movies. We're geeks.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of movies that we can cover. I think it'd be interesting to do a series of three episodes that we cover maybe some character driven video games, you know, that we can analyze. I think video games are, especially these like story driven, character driven games are great, because you can really flesh out, and you can really, as you interact with the person and the character, you can really put yourself in you know, play the role of them in the if you will.
Well,
and you know, it's a very long format media, right? So you can really get deep into a character and into the psychology of somebody. I think there's some really remarkable pieces of video game storytelling out there that rival any book I can think of.
Well, I'm biased towards Red Dead Redemption, but I want to make the example of Skyrim, because I think it's the like one of the like most popular. Like they've sold so many copies of that game, they re-release it every year, and they've re-released it for 15 years, and people still pay full price for this game. It touches people. Like people spend and commit an enormous amount of their lives on it. I think we can discuss why. because we do. We're video game nerds.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
All right. Anything else you want to share, Pablo? Is this a good time for us to wrap it up?
I think so. Yeah, this is great. This was very interesting. I really enjoyed doing this series. I think we should definitely come back to look at more movies. So for you guys listening out there, if you have any recommendations in the future, let us know. Remember that we go live every Monday, same time, 6:30 p.m. Central, 7:30 Eastern on X and on YouTube, and the recorded version will be posted and published on YouTube as well. So if you're watching this in the future, thank you so much. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. The more people that tune in and the better signal we give to the algorithm, the more we can keep doing this kind of stuff, right?
Heck yeah. Ooh, oh, I want you to analyze the boy in the short series Adolescence.
Oh. Have you heard of that? Have you heard of that show?
Netflix, or is that the? I'm thinking of Boyhood. I'm thinking of Boyhood with like the Ethan Hawke movie. Which one?
No. This was Adolescence. This is new. This is from last year. The kid won like Golden Globe Award for best actor. I think he's like
the stabby guy, where they changed the race so that people wouldn't get offended at who actually did it.
I don't know about that, but yeah, it's about the kid that stabs the girl. So yeah, I hear. So thank you, Diana, for your suggestion. I think that'd be I mean, we can also do a show, and maybe do a show and talk about maybe over the course of 3 episodes.
Hey, we're gonna do what the audience wants us to do. Yeah. If the audience wants us to do Adolescence, we're doing Adolescence.
That's
Give
right.
the people what they want.
Exactly. Right on. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Dr. Perrin, as always, for your wonderful insight.
I appreciate you, Pablo. We wouldn't have a show if it wasn't for you and the audience. Thank you guys for coming here to talk about psychology and psychotherapy.